What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another Ghislaine Maxwell video. And in my last video, I talked about how some of the employees from her prison have been fired after the alleged whistleblower sent emails to Representative Jamie Raskin. Well, the whistleblower has revealed herself. Her name is Noella Turnage, and she sat down for an interview with the local news channel in Bryan, Texas, KBTX. So I'm gonna go ahead and play a little clip from that interview.
When one inmate tries to tell the truth and gets strapped to a concrete slab over it, and another one with influence comes in and gets every privilege known to man, somebody has to say something. And that's the way I feel, because for years, Rusty, staff has been mistreated there, inmates have been horribly abused, horribly. And you'll start to see some of that come out shortly too.
Now let's get into this article by KBTX and find out a little bit more about that interview. We chose a breakfast restaurant in College Station to meet on Monday afternoon with hopes we'd have an uninterrupted discussion about her time at the women's federal prison camp in Bryan. She'd been fired from the facility for sharing communications from its most notorious inmate, convicted child trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell, with members of the House Judiciary Committee in Washington, D.C. Her name is Noella Turnage. She's 46, resides in South Brazos County, and is a longtime healthcare professional who had been employed by the Bureau of Federal Prisons since 2019. She is also the so-called whistleblower mentioned last week in a CNN report that said Maxwell, who is serving a 20-year prison sentence for her role in the SA operation operated by Jeffrey Epstein, had copies of her correspondence with an attorney and others shared with Maryland Representative Jamie Raskin. I actually emailed them from work, from my Bureau of Prisons email address, and said, hey, this is who I am. This is where I work, and I have some things I think you might be interested in, and documents you may be interested in. I didn't even specify what it was, said Turnage. Within 30 minutes, a staff member from Raskin's office reached out. Over the past couple of weeks, she's received numerous calls from staff members asking follow-up questions. Turnage would only let KBTX Rusty Surratt visually inspect a handful of Maxwell's emails she had printed and saved. I have not shared them with anyone other than the committee, said Turnage, calling reports that she shared them with members of the media inaccurate. Recently, Eric Ortiz at NBC News shared a report detailing some of the emails from Maxwell, including her apparent pleasure at being transferred to the Bryan facility from a more restrictive prison in Florida. My situation is improved by being in Bryan, Maxwell wrote in one email. The institution is run in orderly fashion, which makes for a safer, more comfortable environment for all people concerned, inmates and guards alike, she wrote in another. Ortiz shared in his report that the emails first obtained by Turnage were made available to NBC News through the House Judiciary Committee. So why did Turnage do this? And how did she go from being a nurse at the prison to having access to inmate emails? Turnage says the move was in retaliation for her speaking up about working conditions. She called prison leadership in Bryan toxic and dismissive, especially toward incarcerated women with serious health needs. Monday, Turnage spent close to an hour outlining several cases in which she documented the mistreatment of inmates that she says triggered her complaints and ultimately retaliation, including being reassigned to the phone room. They call it prison jail, said Turnage, who said her new duties included monitoring inmate calls and emails. I would be looking for any evidence that they're doing something they shouldn't be. Like, are they trying to smuggle in drugs? Are they doing this? Are they whatever? But these women aren't risking that, not for the most part. And same as emails, you're monitoring for anything they shouldn't be doing. Usually on the phone, the biggest thing you run into is they'll call a family member who then conference calls somebody else that they're not supposed to be talking to. Turnage says she was already troubled by the special privileges being given to Maxwell by Warden Tanisha Hall and other higher-ups at the facility, including Warden Hall personally handling all incoming mail addressed to Maxwell. Turnage also described private, catered-style visitation arrangements for Maxwell, which she says other high-profile inmates like Elizabeth Holmes never received, even though Bureau of Prison policy explicitly prohibits even the appearance of favoritism toward inmates. There was this whole thing about closing down the compound for her to have a visit, said Turnage, who claims Maxwell's family was allowed to join private meetings, often disguised as legal consultations. KBTX has repeatedly reached out to Warden Hall and the Bureau of Prisons for an interview about Maxwell's treatment. Our messages have not been returned. I'm trying to figure out who exactly her attorney is. Apparently she's got about 10 of them. Go figure on that. I guess maybe they can bring everybody and say it's a legal visit. I don't know, but they're going to have an area cornered off for you, so it won't be a problem coming in. They're going to provide drinks, coffee, snacks, and all this stuff. Turnage says. The decision to print, save, and then share some of Maxwell's emails came down to a gut feeling. She says some of Maxwell's outgoing messages looked coded with odd spacing, letter substitutions, and formatting that didn't match other inmate emails. So she printed out full threads at work and took them home to study, convinced something was off. After seeing a Wall Street Journal story about Maxwell's treatment at the Bryan prison and Representative Jamie Raskin's inquiries, Turnage saw an opening and shared the emails. Turnage insisted on Monday that she wasn't paid to share the emails with anyone, despite accusations that she received financial compensation. I'm like, really? Then why am I still sitting here eating corn dogs? I guess the check got lost in the mail. I don't know. Turnage also said she plans to seek legal action against the Bureau of Prisons for what happened during her time of employment. Asked about critics who say she violated inmate privacy by sharing emails, Turnage argues she was following her legal and ethical duty as a whistleblower. When you see evidence of law, policy, or regulation being broken, you are required to report it. She says she did so through channels she felt were most effective, arguing her previous complaints about the treatment of inmates led to her being pushed out of her job as a nurse. As Turnage finished her glass of iced tea and took her final puff of a cigarette, she said her ultimate goal was to put a spotlight on her now former place of employment, where she believes staff and inmates were mistreated. Now she feels satisfied to see the worldwide attention on the facility as new Maxwell Epstein headlines continue to dominate the news cycle. When sharing her story with KBTX and other media, Turnage admits safety has crossed her mind, but she isn't concerned. I've got 7, 8 very large livestock dogs out there. If somebody wants to get past them, good luck. Go for it, babe. You earn whatever you get after passing them. Who's gonna tell her that they will take those dogs out and you if they want you? That's all I'm saying. And she's playing with fire. She is playing with fire because y'all know what happens to people when they speak out. Now, you guys let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. Do you think that anything will come of her whistleblowing? Thank you guys so much for watching, and please stay tuned to the channel because I will be back with any more updates. And if you like this video, please hit the like.